Welcome back, curious minds, to Psyche Codexx. I'm your guide into the fascinating inner world of the psyche. In our last journey, we explored the basics of Carl Jung's map of the mind and the process of individuation, the lifelong adventure of becoming your whole self. But today, we're stepping deeper into the forest of your inner world, lantern in hand, to meet four mysterious and powerful figures: the self, the shadow, the anima or animus, and the persona. Ever wonder why one moment you feel like the hero in your own epic story, and the next you feel sabotaged by a side of yourself you barely recognize? These archetypes, timeless patterns Jung discovered, live in every human being. They influence how you think, feel, and act, whether you notice them or not. And if you're an empath, their impact can be even more intense. We'll not only meet each archetype, but I'll give you practical tools to spot them in action and work with them. So grab your notebook, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and let's begin this journey into your personal cast of characters. The self, your core identity. Let's begin at the center, the self. Think of it as the conductor of the orchestra that is your psyche, ensuring every section, your emotions, thoughts, instincts, plays in harmony. For Jung, the self was the ultimate goal of psychological growth, emerging when we integrate all our parts through individuation. For empaths, however, the self can be tricky to find. Your sensitivity means you often tune in to others' emotions so strongly that your own inner voice becomes a faint whisper. It's like trying to hear a flute solo in a room full of blaring trumpets. You've probably touched the self in those rare moments of deep peace, maybe while journaling, meditating, or walking alone in nature, when you suddenly know you're exactly where you need to be. A simple practice. Set aside 5 minutes a day to focus on your breath. Imagine inhaling into the center of your being, exhaling anything that's not yours. Over time, this creates space for the self to speak more clearly. Remember, the self is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. And wholeness includes the messy bits we'll talk about next. The shadow, your hidden depths. Now we turn toward the shadow. This is the part of you that contains everything you've rejected or repressed. Your anger, your fears, your insecurities, but also your hidden talents and untapped power. The shadow is not evil. It's simply what you've shoved out of awareness. But here's the catch. What you ignore doesn't disappear. It leaks out in ways you can't control. For empaths, the shadow often hides in the urge to please. You might suppress your irritation, resentment, or need for boundaries, only to have it burst out unexpectedly. I remember a dear friend, deeply empathic, who snapped at a coworker over something small. Later, she realized it wasn't about that moment at all. It was years of bottled frustration finally breaking free. So how do you meet your shadow without fear? Next time you feel a strong emotional reaction, whether it's anger, jealousy, or shame, pause and ask, what's this really about? Then write freely for 5 minutes without censoring yourself. You might be surprised what surfaces. Integration is key. The more you acknowledge your shadow, the less it controls you from the dark. Instead, it becomes a source of energy and authenticity. We'll explore shadow work in depth in our next episode, but for now, just notice when that shadowy figure taps you on the shoulder. The anima and animus, your inner partners. Next, we meet the anima and animus, the inner feminine and inner masculine. Jung believed that all men carry an anima, their inner feminine, intuition, emotion, receptivity. All women carry an animus, their inner masculine, logic, structure, assertiveness. But in reality, we all have both, no matter our gender identity. For empaths, the anima is often highly developed. You feel deeply, sense unspoken truths, and connect with others emotionally. But without a balanced animus, you might struggle to act on that insight or protect your boundaries. On the other hand, someone might lean heavily on animus, getting things done, staying logical, but avoid emotional vulnerability. Balancing the two means you can lead with both heart and mind. Here's a playful exercise. Think of a recent decision you made. Did you base it mostly on feelings or on facts? For the next small decision, what to eat, what route to take, try leading with the opposite side. This builds flexibility and strengthens your inner partnership. When your anima and animus work together, your creativity flows, your relationships deepen, and you move through life with a grounded yet intuitive presence. The persona, your social mask. Finally, we arrive at the persona, your mask for the outside world. This is the version of you shaped by cultural expectations, family roles, and professional identities. Teacher, friend, leader, caregiver. The persona isn't bad. It helps you function in society. But problems arise when you identify so completely with your mask that you forget the face underneath. For empaths, this can mean crafting a perfectly pleasant, endlessly accommodating persona that hides exhaustion, sadness, or frustration. Think of a time someone asked how you were and you said, "I'm fine," when you absolutely weren't. That's the persona keeping up appearances. The trick is not to throw away your mask, it has its uses, but to remember you can take it off. Try asking yourself each day, am I speaking from my true self or from my persona? Over time, you'll find more moments where the two overlap, and that's where authentic connection happens. Conclusion, reflection, and call to action. So we've journeyed together through the four major Jungian archetypes: the self, the conductor at your center; the shadow, your hidden teacher; the anima and animus, your inner partners; the persona, your social mask. For empaths, these archetypes aren't abstract. They're daily companions, shaping how you interact with others and with yourself. Here's a quick recap exercise. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Which archetype feels most active in you right now? Is your self calling for quiet time? Is your shadow tugging at your sleeve with something unspoken? Is your anima or animus pushing for balance? Or is your persona firmly in place because you're on stage? Whichever one came to mind first, write about it tonight. Even 5 minutes can bring insight. And now I want to hear from you. Which archetype do you feel strongest in today? And which one do you want to explore more? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If this video gave you something to think about, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Psyche Codexx, and hit that bell so you won't miss our next dive, where we'll explore the shadow in detail with practical tools for integration. Until then, remember, these archetypes aren't strangers. They are parts of you, waiting to be understood, accepted, and brought into harmony. And that, dear friends, is where real transformation begins.